Hey everybody, Bill Miller here. Another episode of how to change your abusive ways, my abusive ways, how to change the way we react to adverse situations, to do so maybe in a more positive manner. Mostly today I want to talk about anger. I think we all probably would agree, if we admit to being abusive, is that anger is the biggest emotion that is behind it. There is healthy anger and there is unhealthy anger. Anger itself isn't a bad thing. Every person in the world experiences anger. It's not a bad thing. It's not really a good thing either. It's an emotion, just like sadness, happiness, or anything else. Anger is one of them that God gave us. Just as a little example, say the situation I'm in. I'm very angry that I allowed myself to live this much of my life being an emotional abuser. I'm very angry that I lost my wife a few weeks ago. I'm very angry that I wasn't smart enough to realize it before I lost her. I'm very angry that I'll never get another chance to show her that I'm better now. There might be a few more angers in there somewhere, but those are mostly what I'm feeling right now about this situation that I'm in. I'm very angry about a lot of things right now on the inside, just as a pure emotion. Now, what I'm doing about the anger is I am doing this. I just finished writing my wife another letter. I write her a letter every day, telling her how much I love her and how sorry I am, and how, maybe God one day will bring us back together, allow her to forgive me, and see what life can be like as a healthy couple, as a healthy husband and wife, because we are identical twins in certain ways. I don't know about identical, but we're like twins in the way we feel about so many things, and the way we are. We are so much alike. It was awesome. It was stunning. It was cool. Like we just had so much fun together. We were best friends so quickly. If it wasn't for the abusive part of it that destroyed all of that. So I'm choosing to handle my anger because I'm very aware now, unfortunately I never have been before, on how to handle anger, how to handle my emotions. Now I'm very aware of everything because I give everything a lot of thought, because I'm trying to reprogram my brain. So the way I'm handling my anger is I'm writing my wife a letter every night, because that helps me. It helps me feel like I'm still talking to her. It helps me get my feelings out there. It helps me, there's such a difference in writing something down versus just having a thought. I cannot stress it enough how neat, how important, how different it is to physically write a letter versus just having thoughts in your head. You put so much thought into a letter. You put so much thought into what you say, what you write, and then you read it. As you're writing it, you're reading it, and you're thinking, as you write, and which is a slow thought process. You're not just having quick bam, 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 bam trigger thoughts in your head that come and go in 15 seconds. You're spending 30, 40 minutes doing nothing but thinking about what you would say to her if she was sitting in front of you. I do that. I post these videos, not like I will ever have an impact on anybody, but because it's also me, dedicating 20 or 30 minutes to just talking things through. Even though I'm talking to myself, I'm talking things through like I'm talking to a friend, like I'm talking to people out there that know how I'm feeling and can relate to me, and it just helps me. It helps me to just talk. It's like I'm talking to my best friend, even though I'm talking to myself through my phone. I'm just talking things through, and I do tend to ramble. You should try being in my brain sometime. It's a lot of rambling in there. But I'm reading. I read a book. I've committed myself back to the church. And I practice acts of kindness every day. Every day I try to recognize things that used to bother me or upset me. And I make a very conscious effort to handle it differently now. Whether it be employees, which, oh boy, my wife would tell you we have a hard time with them. I handle them so much different now. My cook, who's only been here for 3 weeks, she told one of my customers, and my customer related to me. She told my customer, my cook told my customer, she's like, my boss is really, really great to me. Like he's so great to me. He's such a good guy, or whatever. That felt good, because I don't know when the last time I've had an employee say or think that about me is. But it was just nice, I guess, to know that, like, that's how I'm coming across to her, is that I'm just a really neat guy, or a nice guy, and and that makes me happy, because on the inside I think we all want people to see us for how we see ourselves, or who we believe to be, which I think we all mostly like to think that we're nice people. And so anyway, I practice several half dozen or maybe even a dozen a day acts of kindness, just not going way out of my way or anything, but just handling things differently in a more kind way. I don't know that my bartender's gotten the paperwork right yet, and that used to be so annoying to me. I would get so frustrated, and now it just is different. I just tell him, he'll, no stress, like, let's go through it. We always figure it out. I tell him, like, in 3 months, it'll be second nature to you. You'll get it right every single night. And it's okay, like, it's no big deal, don't worry about it. Versus, like, being frustrated before, like I was. And it just feels good to know that he's not afraid to come to me and say, hey, I screwed this up, or I can't figure this out, will you help? Versus, before that wasn't the case. I don't think a lot of my employees were comfortable just saying, hey, I screwed up, would you help me? I was too more, I guess, I don't know, just hard. I wasn't as approachable. I didn't make them feel at ease when they were talking to me or whatever. Like, I feel like these employees are a lot more so, just because of my changes in the last month or so. So that's a healthy way that I'm handling my anger. And believe me, when I think about it, like when I think about my actions causing my wife to leave me, and now I get to spend the rest of my life not knowing how amazing our life could have been together, like how we love to golf. I tell you what, like there are no two people in this world that have more fun golfing than we do. And I threw that away. I get to spend the rest of my life wishing I could golf with her every time I go golfing, like wishing she was there, because it was so fun. She's really good. Like, I mean, we both suck, but she was remarkably good for only golfing a few times, and we just had so much fun. When I think about all the things I'm going to miss out on, I get very angry. Like, it is hard, and I could react in a previous me a couple months ago. I would probably treat people like shit because I'm mad, because I'm angry, because I'm hurt. I probably would have lost both employees that I have, and I've already cycled through 3 or 4 more, because I would have treated them like garbage, because I would just be mad. I probably would be drinking, like I probably would be drinking a lot every day again. If I were to handle it the way I used to handle things, I would just, screw it. I'm gonna crack open a seltzer. I mean, I live in a bar. I've got, geez, oh dear, 200 bottles of liquor right here, and beer everywhere, and seltzers. you know, how easy it would be to get frustrated and just get drunk every day, so I didn't have to face it or realize, you know, like face the reality and just kind of be numb to all of this. That was the old me, and now I absolutely, the thought of drinking, it doesn't interest me at all. For a little bit there, I hated it. I hated the alcohol, because the alcohol, my wife and I drank the night we got in our last fight, and that's when I lost her. And I know for a fact, if I wasn't drinking, if she wasn't drinking and I wasn't drinking, none of it would have happened. And so I was really angry about alcohol. I hated it, but now I just, now the alcohol just sits there in bottles. It doesn't do anything. There's no reason for me to hate it. Now I just feel very under control about it, knowing that, like, hey, there's no part of me that wants to, like, distort my thought process or distort my progress, or hamper my progress, or, subject myself to maybe getting drunk or having some alcohol. And you don't make good decisions with alcohol. Like, you just don't. And I don't have any desire for that anymore. I'm getting healthy and I feel very good. I've lost, probably 14 pounds, I think, maybe 15 pounds in the last month. Because I don't, like, being aware of everything. I don't want to put sugars in my body. I don't want to put junk in my body. Like, I certainly don't want alcohol in my body to, like, impair all the things that I have going on. And so, yeah, instead of handling anger the way I used to, in a negative way, now I'm choosing to handle anger in a different way. Like, I'm choosing to use it as to just make damn sure that I never feel this way again, that I never treat somebody the way I treated my wife again, and that I can wake up in the morning and I can look at myself in the mirror and know that I changed who I have always been, or who I had always been, and I've made the changes, and I've taken control of my mind, and now I'm becoming exactly who I want to be, who I want to become. So that's that. That's kind of the anger. Anger is what. Anger is how I reacted when I didn't understand. Also, anger is how I reacted to sadness sometimes. Like, it would, my sister being kidnapped. That's sad. That's sad. It pissed me off. I mean, it's understandable to be mad, but, like, I was mad at being sad all the time. Anytime I talked about it, it's not like I walked around sad. It happened 39 years ago. But every time I talked about it, because I had never dealt with it in my life before, I'd never dealt with her kidnapping. I'd never faced it. I just got angry, and I would cry anytime I tried to talk about her being kidnapped. And now I've written that letter to her. It was heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. It tore me up to write that letter to my sister. I haven't seen her in 39 years, and I've never dealt with her being kidnapped either. I just felt angry about it, and that's a lot of anger to carry around as a grown man. As a human, like, it's probably, there's no telling how much of that is why I treated my wife the way I did, or why it's so easy for me to get mad. But yeah, even the sadness about the kidnapping made me mad, because I didn't really, I cry, so that's showing sadness, but it's not really, like, expressing sadness. It's not really discussing or talking about, what it is and how to, like, get past it. I never really thought about how to get past my sister's kidnapping, because it felt rude, because she literally might be alive to this day. I mean, odds are not, but it felt disrespectful to just say, you know what, I can't carry this burden anymore of being angry about it. and move on, like move forward, move on from it. It just felt disrespectful to me, like I was leaving her. But like when I wrote that letter, like I said, because it helps so much, because you think about it, so you put so much like heavy thought into it when you write. I just realized, like I have to get rid of this anger, and I literally kind of asked her permission to, like, hey, I love you, and I miss you, and I'm very, like, couldn't be any more sorry for the way you spent the last, Lord knows how much long of your life, hours, days, weeks, months, with some disgusting, perverted kidnapper, doing Lord knows what to a 14-year-old girl. And, like, I'm so sorry that you went through that. And I pray to God that you're up in heaven with God. But I have to move on. Like, I've let the kidnappers fuck up my whole life. Not only fuck up my life, but screw up my relationships too. I don't know how many, or whatever. The only one I really care about is my wife. But it doesn't mean I needed to hurt other people because of what happened to my sister. And so I just asked my permission. I asked my sister permission to let the anger go and let the pain go, and just look forward to seeing her in heaven. I feel like that's what she would want for me. I feel like I know that's what she would want for me. I know she would want me to not allow them, him, whatever it is, the kidnapper, to do that to my life, to do that to my marriage. Like, they already took her life, don't give them mine, you know what I mean? Like, and so I wrote that letter to my sister, and that's how I dealt with that anger. I've let it be abusive. I've expressed it in abusive ways my whole life. I used to be a bully and to kids, I guess, in school. I don't remember a ton of that, but and now that I've kind of made this, believe me, I was forced to make it when I lost my wife. It wasn't something I was smart enough to do on my own. It took losing her to make these changes, but at least now I can honestly say that that's how I dealt with that anger. I released it. I asked her permission. I really thought long and hard about it, and I know it's what she would want for me. It's what she would want for my relationship with my wife. She would want me to remember the good things, and she would want me to look forward to giving her a gigantic hug up in heaven when I get there. But she would not want me to carry that burden. She would not want me to mistreat my wife because of the pain that I endured and the walls I put up when I was a kid to protect myself from loving, I guess, So that's another healthy way to deal with anger. Find a way to release it, like face it head on, talk about it, feel it, like, like when you think about things, on the surface, you're like, dang right, you have a right to be angry. Everyone says that to me. I've said that my whole life. Like, of course you're angry about it. Who wouldn't be? I would want to kill them. Like, literally everyone I've ever talked about, my sister, my sister's kidnapping, I would want to kill that person. That, if I found out who did it, they were like, if it was my sister and I found out who did it, I literally would kill him, or I would want to kill him. Like, I would want them to get the death penalty. I would want them to go to jail for life and get molested their whole entire lives in jail by, Bubba and Tiny and all those guys. And so that's what I've been told my whole life. Like, hell yeah, you have every right to be pissed. But then, that's not a healthy way to deal with it. It sounds normal, like probably to a lot of you, it sounds normal. To me, it did my whole life. Like, yeah, I'm pissed. I have every right to be. But then what I did is I let it affect my whole life. So now I'm mad at me. Like, I'm not, like, I gave them that power. So, like, now I'm mad at me for giving those kidnappers that power. And for me, handling my anger, not handling it at all, but for me letting that anger come with me every step of my life. It's been with me, you know? So I let those guys, or I always say those guys because for some reason I picture like a lot of the, you know, my sister became an investigator, and her belief is that it was a couple of people. She oddly thinks it was a gal and a guy partnership where the lady kind of lured my sister in, but that's my sister's belief. She investigated for years and years and years. So I tend to I say those guys, like there were multiple kidnappers, but I don't know, obviously. So anyway, yeah, so I let not just those, you know, the kidnapper affect my life, but also everyone along the way that kept telling me that, yeah, I have every right to be mad. Like, I have every right to be angry about it. I have every right to have this hatred inside me over that. And while that might be true, I have every right to be mad at the people that did it. It doesn't mean I have a right to mistreat my wife, the one I love, you know, or be short with my kids because I have, you know, an anger inside of me that, you know, that I never dealt with because I wasn't smart enough to. And it's not like I chose to not deal with it. You're just honestly not aware of your actions. You know, that's how a lot of people are. They're very unaware of their actions, and I can't put a percentage on it, but I know that it's true. Like a lot of people, they think about themselves and what they're entitled to and what is right and wrong for them. They don't really think about, you know, the other side of the equation. But so I would say I'm kind of proud. I'm embarrassed that it's taken me 39 years to look at that situation and view that anger and put it in a different light and say, you know what, like, I'm not letting them do that to me anymore. My sister wouldn't want it, so I let it go, and I'll never mistreat another human being because some jackass, you know, took my 14-year-old sister when I was a 10-year-old boy. Like, I'm never going to mistreat someone again because I'm carrying that anger with me again. Like, I let it go now. I can say that now. Like, my sister gave me permission to let it go and to let God handle it and to just look forward to seeing her in heaven and be good to everyone. And so that's another, you know, like, that's a healthy way to deal with anger. And so, to summarize, I guess, anger is what got us here. Anger is what got me here. Anger is what I think gets a lot of people. When I see people abusing people, you know, and you see it a lot out in public, you see people abusing people, and it generally, anger is a big in-your-face part of it. So just start thinking about that. Like, hey, how can I view this anger and turn it into a positive? Or not positive as much as healthy. A healthy way to deal with something so you can leave the anger behind and not just keep carrying it and letting it build up inside you because you add one anger to another, to another, to another. And if you never let go of them, you just end up with a lot of angers inside of you, you know, and it comes out at people that you don't want it to come out at because they don't deserve it. They didn't do it. My wife had nothing to do with my sister being kidnapped. Not a damn thing. To be fair, I didn't either. So why? So spend some time and think about, like, hey, next time I get mad, I'm going to take a couple minutes and just see if there's a different perspective that I can put on the anger and a better way to you know, convey my feelings of anger to the person that maybe I'm angry at or angry with. Or, you know, if I have a shitty day at work and you go home and you're short with your wife, like, hey, that's not, you know, try to, you know, give it some actual thought about, hey, like, that guy at work made me mad. My wife had nothing to do with that. So I'm going to go talk to my wife. I'm going to say, you know what I need right now? A gigantic hug and kiss because some jackass at work pissed me off. And you know what she's going to do? She's going to give you a gigantic hug and kiss. well, that was a pretty good way to handle that anger. You know what I mean? Like, versus going home and going out in the shop or going into your man cave or just flipping the TV on and cracking open a beer, saying I had a shitty day at work and ignoring her, you know, or your kids. Instead, say, you know what would make me feel better about that jackass at work pissing me off? Going out and jumping on the trampoline with the kids. Going home and telling my wife, hey, I want to, you know, sit her up on the counter, pour her a glass of wine, if you drink. Sit her up on the counter, kiss her long and hard, hug her, and say, I freaking need this today because jackass at work pissed me off. And now she's your solution. And you know how different that feels versus her being at taking the brunt of your anger because some guy over there made you mad? Well, that's what I did. Like, I had anger from other things and I took it out on my wife. And if I could, you know, I'd give anything in the world to, like, for her to see how different life is now for me and how it's so nice and relieving, and to know that I finally kind of grasp what, you know, how my anger has destroyed my life, and how, like, I'm so aware of it now that I can talk about this stuff, you know, like with you guys, which is just me, but whatever. But I can talk about it and convey how, you know, how I'm going to deal with it and how I do deal with it now, and it puts an end to your anger. It's crazy how cool it is. So there's that. All right, until next time. I hope everyone's doing well, and yeah, keep at it. Don't give up. Keep at it. You'll get over it. You'll get through it. You'll overcome it, and you'll be amazing.